Hey, Ricky, just wanted to have you come in today because, over the last couple of years, people are so afraid to actually sell their house because they don't think they can buy a place. So earlier this year, you contacted me to make the move. What was going through your mind and kind of what helped you make the decision?
Well, for us, we knew that with our house, currently with where the market was at the time, we just knew that if we were going to sell, this was the time to do it.
Right.
Because I believe wholeheartedly that we were going to make as much as we could out of this house right now with where the season was at. And so it was one of those things where it's funny. I remember reaching out to you a couple months prior and asking you, hey, we're kind of on the fence about selling. What are your thoughts? And you actually came over, which is awesome. And you went through our house and said, these are the things that I'd work on. And those exact things is what we ended up doing. And I believe wholeheartedly that it played a huge factor in us being able to increase the value of the house because of what we did, right? And it's not like it was one of those things where it's like, you do this, do that. You were very intentional about seeking the things that I think people would notice as they would go and look at a house, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that was a huge thing. And the other part of it was that we just had a baby, right? And so it was one of those things where we were like, hey, now's the time to really increase our size. And so that was the other factor of it.
Okay, great. So we put it on the market. We had a bunch of showings, right?
Yep.
And then how many offers do we have? Do you remember?
Honestly, I think a total of 9.
Okay.
I know for a fact it was 9. We were really excited about that, I'll be honest. But it was one of those things where I remember looking at the offers. It's for us, I think, oh, sweet, 9 offers. We're looking at the ones that has the highest price. But I think you helped me see that just because the number is high doesn't mean it's always the best, right? And that's the one thing that I really appreciated. Being a first-time home buyer versus being a second-time home buyer, I'm looking at things differently. And now what I did differently this time was ask the questions. If I really didn't understand, I appreciated you being willing to break down things I didn't understand.
Right.
I remember there was a couple questions where I was like, Larry, look, like I have no idea what this means. And before, let's hit the green button. Let's do it. But this time around, I think there was just a huge benefit in being able to go, hey, I don't understand these things. Help me understand before I sign off on this, because let's be honest, signing off on a house is a huge deal, right?
Huge, yeah.
It's super. I actually met with someone. They were like, well, what made the difference? It was you being willing to break things down for us and getting us to a level of understanding where we're confident with the next move.
So from there, I remember we had all those offers, and then the one that we actually took was maybe a few thousand less.
Yep.
But the agent was very dependable.
Yep.
And the buyer looked a little bit better, and it was just for a little less money. And I was convinced that was going to actually get to the closing table.
Yep.
So that's why we went with them.
Yep.
So here we are. We have your place sold. Step 2 was actually getting the house, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that, man. What happened?
Oh, that was such a journey. It was one of those things, and I say it's such a journey. In all reality, we looked at like 7, 8 houses. We put an offer on like 3 or 4, and the 4th one was it. And so there might be a lot of people who might not share the same story we will.
Yeah.
I had a friend talk to me about how he looked for a year and a half for their house.
Yeah.
Ours was probably like a month and a half or so. But one thing that you really encouraged me the whole entire time was like, Ricky, it's a faith journey, right? Don't get so caught up in a house where it's like emotionally you get vested into it and you're like, well, this isn't it, then I don't know what it is, right? The one cool thing was trusting the Lord and really just using the resource that we have, right? I appreciated the whole time the thing that you communicated to us, and we genuinely felt, right, was I would do this for my own blood. There was times where other people showed us, but I've never felt like it was a different person showing us this around. It was your guys' whole team made such an effort, even from you walking through with us to these houses to Leanna and Dana and all these people making it happen. I genuinely felt from every single team member that played a role in this that we were cared for and we were loved.
So all together with the whole process, you feel really good about it?
100%.
Would you do it again?
Would I do it again? If in all seriousness, if I had to do it again, I would do everything the way that I did this time.
Awesome.
100%. But I mean, obviously, like, to go through the whole experience again, you're like, oh, goodness, hope not. But know that one day, here we are. Like, I didn't think that we'd be here 3 years ago, or let alone a year and a half ago.
Right.
But here we are. And so, I wouldn't change the team that I've worked with. I wouldn't change, because not only did you guys help me literally with our house process, but man, you guys went above and beyond to help me with my faith journey too.
Okay.
Because the one thing that I felt like was really an encouragement was, as believers, we're like, you have to say God's got better, right? But I genuinely felt every single time you were like, Ricky, don't get so caught up in this. God's got something for you, right? And man, I felt confident in that.
That's awesome.
So
thank you for coming in, sir.
appreciate you.
Yeah. God bless.
Come on. Thank you.
Have a good day.